All right, and then on the 30th we have Gino Rivera. On the 31st we have the owner of We Are Wrestling, Pete Rosado. February 6th we have Emily Locke, and on Wednesday, February 7th, we have Ted Saban. So, um, things are packed for the time being. And I think we're done putting ourselves over. And it was a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. And it was no greater of days for wrestling than formerly known as Impact Wrestling, now back to TNA, as they had their Hard to Kill pay preview, I believe last Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Yes.
and I made this joke back in September when all of the WWE contracted talent got released. Oh, well, this is the new batch of TNA wrestlers coming in. Boy, was I right!
Pat yourself on the shoulder there.
The show was flooded with new appearances by former WWE wrestlers Nick Namek, Mustafa Ali, Dana
Mhm.
Brooke, and Penny Saver. I didn't technically see the show, but how do you feel about TNA doing exactly what we know TNA to do whenever something like this happens, Scooter?
It's not the talent that showed up, in my opinion. It's it is the atmosphere, the fan base coming back, and the fact that this was it was the largest TNA or Impact Wrestling gate in quite some time. And this this is probably going to lead to TNA possibly reclaiming the number 2 spot as promotion. It makes me want to watch it again. Although my stupid cable provider took away Access TV, so now I'm left with looking at a cardboard box that says TNA.
Is there any pictures on that cardboard box?
Um, there's one but.
Just the lettering "but."
No, it's a picture of someone's butt. It's not mine. It's not anybody I know, I think. Um, it might be mine. It's not, but it might be. Um, it also might be somebody's listener's wife.
And we are being joined by Coleco Yachts,
Hello, hello, hello.
stealing my gimmick. What are your thoughts on everybody, former WWE contracted superstars going to TNA?
I mean, they gotta have they gotta eat, right? Like, as much as people only want one dominant brand, I mean, it's good for to have variety because these people are essentially one to eat, right, and get the opportunity to shine. Mostly, that's number one, getting the opportunity to shine in a way that they haven't at other promotions. So, I mean, you kind of saw this coming. I mean, everyone just kept yelling AEW, but there's multiple places that they can go to. So, I mean, I think it's a welcome addition. I think there's going to be a couple people leaving there, so they get the opportunities. Now, what I am more scared of is that they do the TNA way and they go ex WWE person shows up, ex WWE person wins the title, ex WWE person gets a title reign, and then they lose the title, and then we never hear from them again. That is the problem I have with all of this. It's like them and AEW has this cycle.
Right.
So you know,
If they're going to do what you mentioned, Scooter, and really go for, that number two spot, I technically feel number three spot because in my mind, it's WWE, New Japan, and then AEW. Um,
Um, okay, I will give that to you. Um, I am I technically mean within the American market.
yeah, that's completely fine.
Right.
Um, but the thing about TNA Impact, we could just say TNA now. Is that it's never where you're going to end. It's never where you're going to end. It's just a launching point. It's a transition. Like Kaliko said, you don't just go into TNA and say, "Hey, this is where I'm going to end my career." No, if WWE or AEW rings you up, you're going to go back to those places. Uh, they obviously don't have, the clout of those companies. So it's really just a matter of keeping what they have rather than, going for something else. You kind of understand what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, with Santino Marella as your as TNA's dead on arrival, they can't lose.
So, I mean, I'll give them this. Steve Macklin. Okay, why did they hire Steve Macklin? Well, I'll give them this. They made chicken salad out of chicken shit because he became actually a pretty decent star for them. I even believe he won the title at one point. But in 6 months, do you see Ziggler, Mustafa staying around, or do you see them going somewhere that is better for them or has more money than the other company, than this company?
Really don't answer that one.
I mean, it just depends. Well, the problem is with Ziggler and Ali, they're multiple promotion working because they're both working New Japan as well.
Right,
So it's not like they have allegiance to one company, which is good for the wrestler because that means they get to spread, their talents elsewhere, and they could be a face in one area, a heel in the other, kind of be more mixed up. I mean, Mustafa Ali just broke the gate. I forgot where they had an indie show. I think they're having an indie show, and he was on the ticket. They said that's the highest tickets that they ever had for Mustafa Ali. I think it's great for him because everyone kind of knew he was a good wrestler, and his story was great. Uh, I just hated he never got the opportunity that most people thought he should have got. So that being said, I mean, he gets the biggest jump out of this, right?
right.
So that's where I would see that as. But I mean, but for TNA, I guess anybody is better than nobody.
Well,
Uh,
my feelings on it is you want to rely. on the ticket sales for the people that are with your company that are going to stay with your company, rather than just bringing in a well-known talent. It's borderline independence at that point. No,
Yeah, but it's almost like work for hire. They're just doing their own thing.
I will say, yeah, Scooter.
I just want to put this out there. Uh, there is a maybe 0.5% chance probability that Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, Ali, Mason, uh, Mansoor, all those who are going to promotions, all over the globe at this point, a 0.001% chance that they might be Trojan horses.
They're wearing protection.
As in, they're scouting.
Hmm. So you're saying
Because,
that they know the Gordian knot?
yes, but because everything seems to be almost leading to at least somewhat of a partnership between TNA and the WWE.
Is there though?
You think so?
I say it's building up.
Okay. Well, obviously, guys like Ziggler and Mustafa are going to get, some attention because they are good wrestlers and whatnot, and obviously Top Dollar is going to go anywhere they feed them. Honestly,
I mean, at that point, yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I
when
cannot wait.
oh,
Sorry,
continue.
you go, Jay.
No, what was you saying?
Yeah, I cannot wait for Mustafa Ali to show up, and someone will be so thankful they'll go up to him and say, "Yes, can I get a large popcorn and a large Coke, please?"
Will you stop it?
They need vendors.
Um, to, like I said, Dollar will go wherever they will feed him because when your biggest rivalry is with announcers and podcasters, yeah, you have a problem, to say the least.
Dude with a rope.
A rope?
Dude with a rope.
Well, you just
The
said that he
top
was
rope.
you said that he was a scout, so he knows how to use rope.
No, he's looking for new ropes. Clearly.
Like
Man,
foam ropes?
yep, we're gonna sign that middle rope for 125K a year.
WWE doesn't know a good thing when they have it.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I think they just because everyone keeps saying, "Well, they don't have a good thing when they have it." Only so many people could be on top, right? And only so many people can get shine. So that's where I think that's the biggest issue because we complain about 3 hour shows and then be like, "Oh, you need to highlight them more." It's like, "Well, we got all these damn shows. Watch them." And they're like, "We don't want to watch them." And it's like, so it's a never ending circle.
Oh no, I was talking about the treasure hunt show that they had that he was on.
Oh man, he ain't gonna get no man. Hell, Lacey Evans was on shows and they didn't give a shit. So what are you talking about?
No, AJ was good on that show. It was the only show he was good on.
Oh gosh.
Oh, speaking of people just popping up, anywhere, Jungle Boy made an appearance on New Japan TV. I believe he attacked Shota Uno. And tore up his not his TNA, his AEW contract. He wore armband that said scapegoat.
You know what that's for, right?
No, elaborate.
I mean, I think it's because they think he's because the whole punk thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was because he was pro-Israel.
Well, mainly because you remember he was the scapegoat. Because remember Punk had the whole thing, and then he got into it with Jungle Boy, and that was the final straw.
I mean, now this is just rumor and innuendo. You can't always necessarily trust the spoiler sheets, as we all know. But they were, I believe they were in San Jose, California, and they said that the crowd legitimately did not know who he was. It was like,
Well,
who's
that
that?
makes sense. They wouldn't make sense. They would know the fuck he
And,
was.
and
Like
nobody
it's
else told. Nobody knew that this was happening,
right.
save for a few people. And
Excuse me.
God forbid that went wrong.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, it kind of did go wrong. It almost went wrong because security didn't know.
yeah.
Almost had another situation with like
Yep.
Callus.
It was like, ma'am, there was a small child in the ring. Did somebody lose a small child?
All it takes is one security guard thinking he needs a gun for his job.
Well, Japan is not that crucial, I would think.
No, it was
They'll
not.
probably slice them. They'll slice them, but
Hmm. Jungle Boy sashimi.
We would only be so
yeah, that
lucky.
you know what I'm saying. They'll slice them up. You know what I'm saying? But anything else,
And then feed him hilarious.
Oh,
Well, that being said, if if Jungle Boy shows up on New Japan's B show in the woods, does anybody see it?
nah. I mean, people saw it. It was on the show. People were happy that he got a chance to shine. So.
Does Japan even have woods anymore, except for that, the death forest?
Yeah, there's wooded areas in Japan.
Yes, they're called public restrooms.
Will you stop it?
I have a friend living in Japan. Let me call her, and she'll get back to us in about 2 years.
This sounds really dumb, but it's something Tony Khan would do. Did Tony Khan tell Jungle Boy go to New Japan because CM Punk went to WWE, biggest wrestling company in the world, clearly, and a lot of clout got caught because of that appearance. Was he thinking, okay, well, you go to the second most biggest company in pro wrestling and make an appearance and say, "Hey, I'm here now, and maybe we'll get the same clout as CM Punk going to WWE."
No, that's kind of like Naito going on an excursion. No one really gave a shit until he came back.
Well, I mean, we clearly know that,
Facts.
but does Tony Khan know that?
Well, I don't think he did that. I think it's just like, to be quite honest, what is he gonna gain there?
Maybe.
No, what is he going to gain staying in at AEW? Was my point.
Well, I mean, the hilarious part of all of this is that the New Japan Strong Champion is an AEW wrestler. So, if he's going for, like, titles, then, it's Eddie Kingston he has to deal with.
What the Gaijin or David Finlay for the Gaijin title? Who knows?
Uh, would they really give Jungle Boy to David Finlay?
I mean, I don't think so because the way he came in, it was more heelish. But I think the issue with Jungle Boy was that they turned him heel against what Luchasaurus, right?
No, it was against.
Other way around.
Oh, Luchasaurus turned heel against him, and
No,
then
he
he turns heel.
he
Which,
turned heel on Hook.
oh yeah, he's turned heel on Hook. But Luchasaurus turned heel on him, then he turns heel on Hook, and there's no, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just the face thing didn't help him, and maybe New Japan he can find his way. I mean, because people can't boo him if they don't know what he's saying.
Or who he is at this point.
That too.
You know, I'm surprised. I'm surprised Jack Perry didn't just think, okay, I don't have to go anywhere.
I mean, it's a couple hours between San Jose and Los Angeles.
I mean, Tony said go to the second biggest company. It's like, okay, you want me to stay, Tony?
Yeah. You must be the Stessa.
Well, New Japan may have gained the Jungle Boy, but it lost a Rainmaker. Um,
And Mecca.
Kazuchika Okada has announced that he will be leaving New Japan at the end of the month. Some matches have been announced for February for, like, a little farewell tour, essentially. But this is definitely, when they say the Shaka in Osaka, this is fucking it. I did not think Okada would be the guy that left New Japan. I always thought he'd be a forever guy. Um, that's clearly not the case. Kaliko, your thoughts on Okada leaving the company?
I mean, that's like John Cena leaving in his prime at WWE. Like that's huge, man. But I also see his point because he's done it all. He's done it all, and I mean, opposite of tag championships and all the meaningless belts that don't mean anything. He's done it all. He's won the New Japan Cup. He's won the the
G1.
G1 as champion, wiping half the field out by himself. So, I mean, what was there? What was he going to gain? I mean, like this year was a lost in the sauce moment for him after Sonata beat him. So it it's a huge blow because now with Naito, we don't know how long Naito got.
Right.
So it's huge with the top of the card, and I don't know what does that have to do with Tanahashi.
That's what. That's right. I mean, could have Tanahashi being the president of the company affected that decision in some way?
Hmm. I, I think not, but he might. Okada likely wouldn't have much of a problem with Tanahashi in charge. If anything, it might be his opinion of there was somebody else that could have been better in that position.
Well, a part of me kind of feels like I don't want to say Okada was on the decline because he was still, a megastar for that company for obvious reasons. Um, but if Okada isn't on, the tippy top, the center of attention, he doesn't necessarily want to be there. He wants to be number one. Always. That's always been, his mindset. And, this last, year or two, these young lions have been popping off. And, I mean, that kid from Noah, really pissed him off. And Soda pissed him off. And you see, Soda, Ren, Suji, Yuya, all coming back. They're all these young, hungry guys, and you know that in the next year or two they're going to be megastars. And I don't see Okada feeling that, winning the Gaijin belt from David Finlay would be, an acceptable thing for him. It's always been all or nothing for him, and that, um, you know, I understand that's where he would go with it. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As far as him being number one, I tend to disagree a bit because remember this dude was the King of Pro Wrestling champion, so it's not like he was just screaming, "I just want to be number one or give me let me be number one or nothing." So I mean, I give him some credit there. Like I think he just wants to be hovering around that top part, right? And he feels like he's got a lot left in the tank to give to that. Now, the problem is that New Japan is very story laden and there's no real story agenda to get him back into the title picture,
Right,
if that makes sense. Because now it's more about the LIJ cats kind of going with each other.
right.
Or the ex LIJ cats and one LIJ cat kind of beefing with each other in that sense. So
The center of
there's no
attention
way
right
for him
now.
to get back in the picture unless he won the New Japan Cup, which in this case, the favorite for the New Japan Cup is gone.
Right. I mean, Naito is the center of attention right now for New Japan and telling his story as he, finishes up his career. Uh, so I understand where, that doesn't leave a lot of room for Okada. And, since we came into 2020, I mean, everybody had a terrible 2020. Like, we all know that. But there was definitely a decline for Okada from 2020 to now. And it wasn't the same for him since that time. I
Think
think
so?
it's kind of like, okay, they would try to go with Kota Ibushi. Kota Ibushi was a major failure for the company. So it's like, okay, well, we had Okada, and he's probably like, well, you had me. I'm not that type of person. He literally won the G1 by forfeit because Kota Ibushi couldn't compete. So, I can understand why would I be second favorite when I should have been first favorite because I've been the reliable guy all of this time as well.
hmm I mean that. true, but like I said, those things were like during COVID, they just went with the steady hand, and he was the steady hand, right?
Naito was
Like
champion
I
for the
think
pandemic.
you say what?
Naito was the champion for the pandemic.
No, no. What I'm saying is like, well, Naito was the champion, but then you also had who was it? Takage had the belt.
Yeah,
Like during that time, it was. I can say he had the belt longer than um, Naito. Had more reigns than Naito. I mean, he was the guy. He was the Rock, right?
yeah,
Even with the whole Jay White, when they came to Japan or they came to New York, it was Okada
yeah.
versus Switchblade, not Naito. So that tells you how much that they trusted him in that regard. The only question I got is, does this have to do with Tanahashi being president?
Right.
And that is the move that I'm thinking because he doesn't seem, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is what I'm trying to figure out. Like, other than him really having nothing else to freaking accomplish, right? Like, what? I mean, what else? What other reason could it be?
You think money might be play a factor into things?
I think he's set.
No. Keep in mind, this is just rumor and innuendo at this point, but they did. There was a report that New Japan wasn't paying him as much as they could have or should have.
I mean, how much does he think he should get paid? Is the question.
It's not a matter of how much should he, but what is his value to the company?
Way more than he's top two. 10 and Naito.
Right. And if your top guy is getting underpaid, doesn't that mean you may be undervalued him?
Uh, it depends on how long that contract ran. Because I can't see him being underpaid when he was like roughshotting the whole goddamn G1.
Which time?
That's my point. Like damn near every year. He was at least a quarter finalist to semifinalist for the G1. He always had a great showing for the New Japan Cup. He main evented the Tokyo Dome numerous occasions. He was the draw, even against Naito, which was like a Punk Cena ish type vibe. But still, that's my point. Like,
So, where does he go from here? Scooter?
Hmm. I mean, we know that WWE has expressed more than their usual interest. They want Okada. The question is, can they do something proper with Okada? Because people tend to forget, oh, Ibushi was in the Cruiserweight Classic. Uh, Okada
yes,
was in TNA before as a DJ.
No, he was Kato from the Green Hornet? Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't have a first name.
Yeah, Kato. Ironically enough,
So,
to Samoa Joe.
and that is what scares me. Is that he'll show up, it'll be a whole to do, and then he will get misused.
In WWE.
Yes. Now,
Look at Nakamura.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Yep.
I mean, if they decided that the first feud he was going to be thrown into was Nakamura, well, cancel culture is back. Like, man, why do you have to have the two Asian guys wrestle, huh? You couldn't find any little people to wrestle?
True.
If
I mean, we're almost in cancel culture territory with what they're doing with Escobar and Latino World Order.
oh, what about the show about the micro brawlers on Discovery?
I haven't found it yet. I need to look for it.
There is a little person who's trying to wrestle and has brittle bone syndrome.
Oh God.
Kudos to him. We will miss him though.
That's impressed.
The other thing that worries me is you have to think about how much of the WWE's fan base follows New Japan.
Right.
And
That's a good point.
it will probably be tough. But if Okada can put even 50% of the effort he was showcasing in New Japan, he will get the fans on his side.
Okay. Kaliko, did you have something to say?
I was about to say because he asked a great question. It was like how many fans know who Okada is. It now, if it was NXT 2015 era, they would have knew exactly who the fuck he was. Because when Nakamura popped up, everybody was like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
So now's NXT, I could see part of it. I can see some of the crowd, but I don't see him going to an NXT. So that's where the problem is because the NXT, the only reason he would go there is kind of like to learn the WWE style, right? I don't think he's going to be there in the sense of Nakamura. I I
Right.
think I think the issue with Nakamura, because to me, I think that dude is so good and he's so charismatic, and the issue was with him was just misuse. It wasn't the fact that he couldn't wrestle. Everybody knew he was a side. I think when he lost to Jinder Mahal at SummerSlam, it went to shit.
Um. No, because he won the Royal Rumble after that.
He won the
But
Royal
to me,
Rumble 2018.
And
yeah, he
Jinder
won
was
the Royal Rumble in
champion
20.
2017.
No,
No.
that Shinsuke and Jinder came after WrestleMania 34.
They wrestled at SummerSlam
Jinder was
2019, right?
Really?
no. Jinder was
Yeah.
WWE champion in 2017. Nakamura won the Royal Rumble in 2018.
But I think, but my thing is, if
Damn
he
it,
had to
Tim's
beat
right.
Jinder, but if he had, but to me, I think when he was going against Jinder Mahal, I think that was his best. He was meteoric at that point.
Right.
So the Royal Rumble part was just. a hot shot back to where he was, and then he lost to AJ at Mania.
And then he never recovered after that.
No, because the heel turn was nice. They just didn't capitalize on it. Because when when he was like, "Sorry, no speak English,"
English.
but they were on his side. I think those two losses killed him, and then him losing to Rollins. Now, I mean, every time they had him in a position where he should be capitalizing, they didn't pull the trigger. Even if it's a transitional type of deal, they should have pulled the trigger because those were the points where it's like, I don't know. And then you look at, I mean, the way they do Asuka, but then again, they just got Kyrie Sane. So I mean, it's weird. It's going to be weird because this is Triple H's vision now, so he might have a totally different vision than what Vince had. So it just depends on if they're gonna know who the fuck he is, which I think a majority of the people are gonna know who he is.
I disagree
The
with that.
casuals, not no. Now, when I say a majority, we're thinking this is hardcore fans,
Okay.
not casuals.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So is the casual person who tunes in from Royal Rumble to Mania is gonna know who the fuck he is? No. But those casuals will catch on with the people who are into it and they'll just ride that wave. Kind of like how AJ Styles came to WWE. I was like, what the fuck? And everyone's like, oh my god. And then everybody's like, oh my god. The casuals are like, who the fuck is that? And everyone's like, oh, that's AJ Styles. And then the people are like, oh my god, that's AJ Styles. They didn't know him from Can of Beans, but when you're caught in a moment with crowd, it kind of can catapult you there, right?
Right. So, with the whole thing with AJ Styles is I kind of felt like a good a mature there was a good amount of people, casual wrestling fans, that actually knew who AJ Styles was because he was literally everywhere except WWE. If it came to wrestling, you saw his face, whether it was TNA, New Japan, etc., etc. He was in that wall. They capitalized on having AJ Styles everywhere. Um,
But the casual fan didn't know who the fuck he was from a can of rocks.
they might have they may have not seen him wrestle, but I feel like low key some casual fans might have knew who he was, or at least heard of him.
Low key.
Yeah,
How the fuck you low key know somebody? Low key.
yeah, low
You,
key.
you know him, you know. That's like he said, low key she pregnant. Like
Captain Caval.
So yeah, nobody knew who Kaval was. I barely knew who Kaval was. It was like, is that
Alas.
fucking low key?
Alas, poor Caval. We hardly knew ye.
But we could all we could all agree on that if there was any Japanese wrestler that could get over with a WWE crowd with, it was gonna be Shinsuke Nakamura. The guy was uh, the Michael Jackson of pro wrestling in Japan, and that translates. But unfortunately, he didn't. No shade to Okada whatsoever. He doesn't have that type of personality as Nakamura. He's a good wrestler. He has all the tools to be great. But I kind of feel that if he comes to WWE, yeah, he has all of the tools, and he can talk English from what I know. But I feel like it's going to be an
Here we go.
Austin,
You heard that.
huh?
yeah.
I feel like it's going to be an Austin Theory situation where He has all the tools, but it just doesn't click. You kind of understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we will see. I mean, he's tall. He's got the look. But we will see.
Oh, on the opposite end of that spectrum, if he goes to AEW, well, obviously, first and foremost, they're going to drop him out to Orange Cassidy. That's first and foremost.
No, he's gonna beat the hell out of Darby Allin.
Everybody beats the hell out of Darby Allin.
Even Darby Allin.
I don't. It's not going to mean anything if he goes to AEW. It's not going to. It's not going to move the needle. It's not going to be. Oh, he's in AEW now. It's not going to attract more viewers. It's just going to be what it is. If WWE capitalizes on Okada, I could see him maybe spending a couple months in NXT, have a couple of banger matches with Carmelo and um Braun Breaker, getting shooting up to the main roster, so at least some of the casuals know him from NXT, and maybe do something mid card with him, and possibly get him to the main stage. But the problem is we have so many mega stars in WWE at this point that he might get lost in the shuffle. All right. I think we talked enough about Okada for the moment. And speaking of TNA, NXT, um, Cora, Cora Jade, tore her ACL, at a live event. It's terrible on her part, to get injured and whatnot.
Was
With
he
any,
looking for Kai?
huh?
Was she looking for Kai?
Not that I know.
We're looking for Punk.
Looking for Darby, honestly.
or looking to go a size bigger?
Well, she's gonna be on the shelf for a while. Um,
Again.
was she injured before?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
This
Well,
was literally her comeback. This was her. I believe this was actually her first actual match back, or at
so
least
she got
it was on a house show. So
so she got injured, got boobs, and came back.
basically, no. Did you get the boots before?
I think
I don't.
before she got him before.
Yeah,
No. Well, what
they
I'm
are a handful.
what I'm getting at is there is rumor and innuendo that you know, this wasn't just um a one time situation. That a lot of the girls in WWE have been getting injured, specifically ACL injuries. Um, and they're saying that the training might be too harsh or severe. Um, if she got injured in like a training session, I would say well maybe, but accidents happen in the ring. We don't exactly know why she got injured. It could have just been a freak accident. Um, your thoughts on WWE's training might be too harsh on the girls? Scooter.
Well, I have a solution. Just remove the just remove all the women's legs. Boom! No more ACL tears.
Well, that doesn't help
Um,
anybody.
helps the doctor, puts money in their pocket. You know, having gone through an exact NXT training drill, I can definitely say that even for men, it was a bit too much. For women, there are other ways of imparting what you want to learn on your students. It doesn't just have to be one way or the highway. You can, and that's the idea these days, is that training is different for everyone. That's the whole thing with me. It's different strokes for different folks, and if they continue like this, they're gonna run, not just the women in NXT, but the men too. They're gonna end up running them ragged.
Do you think this is a WWE problem or a talent problem, Felico?
From what I was told, like, because remember, this is the first one. You got to think Tegan Knox, Nikita Lyons,
Yeah.
Soul.
I mean, even
What's her
Charlotte
name?
at this point.
Soul Ruka was released.
Soul Roka.
She was released, though.
Oh man, that's fucked up. She had hopes, but I think it was because they were changing the way that they train. I think it's because the regimen is more leg strength, and that's just wearing on them legs, man. When in actuality, I think agility would be more of their speed.
Isn't that an oxymoron? You put your legs, strengthening your legs.
Yeah, because you depends on because your knees, man. It depends on how they're doing the progressive overload. And you got to think these are women, so their legs aren't. How can I say this without sounding sexist? They're not meant to endure. They can only their muscles only endure so much because
Sexist.
they're not used to it. I know, sexist. I know.
Well, I'm on the notion that it's pro wrestling. Obviously, it's hard. Obviously, the training is a killer. Um, that doesn't necessarily mean everybody's getting hurt. So it's kind of just figuring out what's an accident, who's injury prone, and then kind of decide, you know, who, if this training is maybe too difficult. From
Nah,
what,
they just need to. They need to stop doing a one size fits all and actually train to the person's body type because not everybody's body type is the same, and not everyone that's coming to WWE is not an athlete. You see what I'm saying?
I mean,
Like,
Cora was on the independents, so she trained pro wrestling before she came in.
I know, but what I'm saying is that some of it is freak, but some of it is also. I mean, they're recruiting more collegiate. From what I've seen, they're recruiting more collegiate basketball athletes. on the women's side.
Can we
Collegiate
discuss?
basketball and volleyball, and think of that, they've been playing on their legs since probably 5.
I mean, if that's the case, and that's wanted, Charlotte played volleyball, tore her ACL a couple months ago. So I mean, it's not like, oh well, if this person works in this sport, then there's a higher chance that they won't get injured. It's it's just how your body reacts to things, and if a freak accident just happens, then it just kind of happens. You know what I mean?
Frankly, my dear, I don't
I
give a
mean,
giggle.
you can say that. That's fine. I mean, but Charlotte was a freak accident, and a lot of these sometimes are freak accidents, but some of them probably got torn during training.
I don't know.
So they got to look at, like, if it's happening during training, they got to look at that as a whole.
Would
They need to
you
stop making Gable happen.
let me
Or Gable
propose this?
and
Let me propose this question: is Cora Jade injury prone?
Yeah.
not as injury prone as Tegan Knox.
I mean, she's been holding India for the last like couple months, so there's hope, I suppose. Scooter, Scooter. Oh, guess we lost Scooter. So
Just the two of us.
we can make it if we try. Um, on the topic of injuries, Seth Rollins tore his MCL and meniscus during the match against Jinder Mahal. I suppose that's a reason to hinder Jinder at this point. Um,
The curse is real.
Gender Mania running wild.
Jesus Christ, the curse is
No,
real.
Buddha.
so
We America, sir.
is this gonna fuck up plans for WrestleMania?
Uh,
Depends on the grade tier. The
uh,
the depends on the grade tier. Worst case scenario, yes, it's fucking it up because you're looking at what, 6 to 8 weeks recovery time,
you know what they need to do?
depending.
They need to give that belt over to Finn.
No.
Come on,
What?
we ran back Seth and Jinder from FCW. Why not run back the whole idea of, oh, Finn got injured. He's gonna have to give up that title after 24 hours. Seth got injured. Boom. There's Finn and R-Truth, who thinks he's making the match for Finn, and then somehow gets put into the match himself and finally wins the World Heavyweight Championship. Um, I just like the whole irony behind it.
Well,
That will never happen though.
if he can't make it to WrestleMania, there's a couple of people you could slide in there. Um, but it's going to be Punk versus somebody, right?
It's still gonna be Punk Rollins.
Yeah, it could be because I mean it's just MCL, not his ACL. So it's not as bad. It's the meniscus that's the problem, and it just depends on how big that tear is. Because if it's a grade one, um, 2 3 weeks to 4 a month, he can make it right. Grade two, you're looking at 4 to 6. It's pushing it, but he will make it nonetheless. Anything grade three, he's done, and that's why I think it's the worst because usually they would say grade one, grade two, grade three. They just said a torn, so they know it's torn and already know who they're going to go to. They're going to Beham, Alabama, and go see the ACL specialist to see
Dr.
how long they
James.
got. Dr. James Andrews, and they're going to see what they can do.
Ah, I have a feeling it's not as torn as we think it is. I mean,
And
it was
that's
a
what I'm hoping. I'm
yeah,
hoping it's not a full. I'm hoping it's not a grade three tear.
yeah. It,
And that is
if it was a full clean tear, they wouldn't have waited to say anything.
Hmm.
So, Punk Rollins will still happen, but it will happen under the notion that Seth will have to sign a hold harmless agreement, and we will get an unsanctioned match.
for the heavyweight title.
I don't see. This is why I always thought Punk and Rollins didn't need to be a title match.
But it will be.
Hypothetically, it shouldn't be because, to be quite honest, it's that feud made itself with them just talking shit to each other about the grudges that they held, especially considering that they were this close to facing each other. Didn't they face each other at NXT?
Not that I know of, no.
Mm, no.
No, 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 no. They had a run in though when Punk
Uh,
was champ.
when they interfered in Survivor Series.
No, no. I remember Punk as champion walking into NXT. He didn't fight, but he had a little chit chat with Seth at the time.
Hmm.
Y'all, man, this was like early NXT.
It must have been.
Man, this is when Rollins first had the
Yep,
title.
yep. And it's when he had blonde hair too. Uh,
Yeah, that's when he had the big streak.
and yeah,
Uh,
when he wasn't dressing in Liberace's closet.
Pretty much. Because it was like that was when I think that was like the first time they actually had like someone of Punk's stature at NXT.
So we're pretty much in agreement that come hell or high
They
water.
did fight, motherfucker. I thought so.
So we're in agreement that come hell or high water, Seth Rollins is dragging his ass to WrestleMania.
Yes.
Nice. And the last bit of news we have tonight. Hulk
Oh, he was
Hogan.
in a tag match with Seth. That's right.
Hulk Hogan saved a
Oh,
17-year-old girl that was in a car crash. And this would be, I don't want to say anything inappropriate, but
I saved you, brother. Now, how about you show me some gratitude?
I will say it's the most appropriate thing he's ever done with a 17-year-old world. Not
Oh my God.
throwing any shade at Hulk Hogan. I'm sure everything he's done in the past has been consensual. With younger women, younger than his daughter. But hey, you know, to each their
Oh
own
God.
if it's legal.
When I said eat your vitamins, I meant eat your vitamin D, brother.
And maybe we'll get some vitamin X in there too.
Okay, Randy Savage was there?
Ooh, yeah. Me and Hogan used to run the train all the time.
Run all the bitches and hoes, yeah.
Just ask Linda and Liz.
Yeah.
And that will conclude our coverage of the news. Now, a quick word from our sponsors, if they still want to be our sponsors after this episode.
And that word is camping.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.